And a warm welcome to all of you, wherever you're coming in from around the world. My name is Roel Steibing. I'm an assistant professor in the Faculty of Global Communications at Doshisha University in Kyoto, Japan, also a senior trainer at ATLAS.ti. And in that capacity, I'm very happy to moderate and host this IQRN webinar, the last of 2023. And we've had a series of good webinars on qualitative research methodology and the use of ATLAS.ti in facilitating qualitative research. Very successful year of webinars, which we are happy to repeat and that we hope to repeat in 2024. Our last presentation of the year is on systematic contextual coding technique with ATLAS.ti. Anytime that you have any questions, please feel free to click on the Q&A button at the bottom of the toolbar, at the bottom toolbar in the Zoho platform. And while we do that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the presenter today. He is the co-founder and managing director of ADV Research and Consultancy, formerly known as Inspira Resources, an independent, neutral, and transparent research and consultancy entity based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. He also serves as a professional senior trainer for ATLAS.ti and was honored with the ATLAS.ti Excellent Trainer Award in 2018. Since his appointment as a professional senior trainer, Ady has been conducting ATLAS.ti demonstration and training sessions ranging from personal to large-scale training. So if we can all devote our attention to this webinar, please welcome Ady Hameme Noor Azman. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Roel, for the introduction. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Ady, a senior trainer for ATLAS.ti. And now the topic that we're going to cover for today would be systematic contextual coding technique, or in short, SCCT. So let's begin. Now let's look at the contents of our webinar. First, I will talk about what exactly is thematic analysis. And secondly, we'll go into the coding in perspective. Then next would be on types of coding that is involved in thematic analysis. The fourth one would be some of the approaches of coding in thematic analysis. Next would be the language of coding. Six would be the challenges of thematic analysis. The seventh would be some example of open coding using the SCCT. And then I'm going to show you some of the examples of SCCT for Azure coding. And last but not least, I will demonstrate how to utilize the SCCT in ATLAS.ti. Now, first, let's take a look at what exactly is thematic analysis. In a nutshell, it is a process that analyzes qualitative data to identify patterns and themes. And of course, it is a crucial step of making sense of diverse information. Now, let's see some of the pioneers of thematic analysis. So in 1994, Miles and Huberman established the basic principle of qualitative data analysis, including coding and theme identification. Next, in the 1988, Strauss and Corbin developed a grounded theory, a methodology for generating theory from qualitative data, which heavily relies on thematic analysis. And in 1998 as well, Boyard this introduced the concept of thematic analysis in action, emphasizing the iterative and dynamic nature of the coding process. Now, for contemporary researchers, back in 2006, Brown and Clark also contributed to the qualitative thematic analysis, which provide a comprehensive framework for thematic analysis, outlining different approaches and strategies. In 2017, Noel Norris, White, and Mouse emphasized the importance of trustworthiness in qualitative research. While in 2013, Saldana offered a practical guide to qualitative coding, including various coding techniques and tips of managing large datasets. And last but not least, Morris in 2003 highlighted the challenges of analyzing qualitative data from multiple sources and perspectives. Now, this is not limited to this. Of course, you can find any other researchers that has contributed to thematic analysis in the literature. Now, let's take a look at the one example of a thematic analysis process advocated by Brown and Clark, 2006. Now, according to them, there are six steps of thematic analysis. The first one would be understand the data in general. The next would be generating the open codes, then generating the themes out of the codes, and reviewing the themes, naming and defining themes, and preparing, last but not least, preparing the reports. Now, in this webinar, we'll tap into the open code and the actual coding process. Now, as you can see that at in the beginning, we need to understand the data in general. So as you can see, there's an AI summary there, meaning that using ATLAS.ti, you can use the AI summary in terms of getting to understand the overall data that you have. So I will demonstrate that later on using the ATLAS.ti. Now, coding is indeed an essential step that helps uncover patterns and insight from complex qualitative data. It is crucial for making sense of information from various sources of qualitative data, such as interviews, observation, and etc. Now, we need to understand that it is beyond simplicity. Although various coding types and approaches exist, apparent simplicity can match through complexity. So, therefore, coding requires systematic analysis to identify recurring themes and patterns. And it is not always straightforward. So despite different techniques, coding can be challenging and nuanced. It requires careful consideration of context, especially researcher bias, as well as data richness. And last but not least would be coding must be clear and rigor. So to ensure the reliability of your research findings and facilitate effective communication, it requires maintaining clear terminology, applying consistency, and organizing the content logically. So here are some of the types of coding. One would be open coding. It is a researcher will immerse in the data to generate initial codes, explore unexpected themes, and challenge preconceived ideas or knowledge that is possessed by a researcher. The next we have, we have actual coding. So basically, it categorizes the codes into groups. The open codes that we've developed or created will be categorized into groups, and also in a way, as a coding also analyze relationships and hierarchies. And the third one will be special for grounded theory approach. That is called selective coding. So it identifies central themes, interpret and make subjective judgments. Now let's take a look at the approaches of coding. Now there are several approaches, so I've listed only three here. Only three approaches. The first one would be inductive versus deductive. So inductive means emerge themes from scratch, like exploring a new map. So we emerge them from our data without any prerequisite knowledge. And the deductive would be the overlay exist theories, like following a pre-charted route. So basically, we are doing the coding based on our readings, based on our knowledge, and so on and so forth. The next will be the openness versus structure. So open coding is basically a process that we explore freely, like a treasure hunt with endless possibilities, while closed coding is where we stick to a predefined categories, like following a shopping list. The third one would be manifest versus latent. So manifest coding, it captures the obvious, like in the headline. So basically, if you read the newspaper, so just imagine this paper is your transcript. So you can see the headline. So that's the obvious context, or the obvious the obvious data that you can see. So that would be the manifest coding. So the next one will be the latent coding to uncover hidden meanings while deciphering secret messages within your data. So next, of course, we have the open coding, actual coding, selective coding, inductive, deductive, openness, structure, manifest, and latent. The next thing that we need to have for thematic analysis is indeed the language. So thematic analysis needs coding language, and what we normally use would be the natural language coding. Now let's see what is it about natural language coding. So it is analyzing text data using every language, which is our everyday life, everyday language, the way we speak, the language that we normally use, and identifying, categorizing meaningful pattern and themes. Okay, and why we use it? So it to capture the richness and context of human language, and then uncovers hidden meanings and subjective experiences. And there are, of course, several challenges with NLC. First one would be the subjectivity and potential for bias. Second would be requires careful documentation and audit trails. And thirdly would be time consuming for large dataset. Now let's see at the challenges of thematic analysis in general. So this is not limited to this. So these are some of the major challenges. One would be the open coding difficulties. So it is always difficult to identify relevant codes in your data. And of course, the second one would be whether it's under or over coding of the data. So whether it is enough or not enough. And last but not least would be to move from open coding to actual coding process. It is quite a challenge. And this is because, in my opinion, in my experience, it's because due to the subjectivity nature of NLC, the natural language coding. The second one would be the data management challenges. We always say problem in organizing large data sets and tracking code analysis vision. Third one would be the burnout and fatigue. So it is quite hard to always maintaining motivation and focus throughout coding process. And some of us would not feeling overwhelmed by large data volume because it will means a lot of more work for us to do, especially in terms of the data analysis. And the fourth one will be the bias and preconceptions. So we always have problem in remaining objective and let the data speak for itself. And of course, we also have problems in avoiding the in over interpretation, avoiding over interpretation based on our existing knowledge. So in this webinar, I'll give you solution for the two challenges, the open coding difficulties and also the data management challenges. So for the solution number one, I introduce you to SCCT, an alternative coding language. So let's see at the definition. It is a qualitative coding language that requires extraction of key explicit context arranged in a systematic manner to create a meaningful and structured coding system. So think of it like playing a Lego. So you have a lot of Lego pieces. Then you have to pick the ones that is suitable for things that you want to build. So basically, that's the general idea of the SCCT. So these are some of the um, some of the principles of SCCT. One would be the systematic approach. So SCCT will label and categorize data segment based on context, which is aligned with the research question, and it has to be consistent and organized coding process. And next will be the enhanced reliability and validity. So with SCCT, it will enhance, you minimize the subjectivity and promotes coding consistency. The next one will be the comprehensive data exploration. So using the SCCT, it can uncover all significant themes and patterns. Okay. And deeper understanding of the context. Also, in turns, will enrich its overall analysis. Now, as for the solution number 2, of course, the ATLAS.ti. So this is some of the features of ATLAS.ti. First would be the unified form. So you can organize, manage all data types in just one platform. Okay, and you can have a structured overview of your data. And of course, it facilitates systematic coding, where it helps to code and categorize data segment, identify themes, patterns, manage and track coding decisions, ensure consistency and transparency. Next will be enhanced research efficiency. So it will streamline data management process, improve data accessibility and organization, and also allows focusing on analysis and interpretation as well. Last but not least, will be supports qualitative analysis techniques. Of course, SCCT will help us in conducting open, actual, or selective coding and build concept maps and networks. And of course, generate reports and visualization. And therefore, it will help us in analyze and interpret findings effectively. Now, let's take a look at an example of SCCT. This is for the open coding. Let's say we have this segment of quotation. So it says, I love eating pizza and pasta, but mostly pizza. The ones with beef pepperoni as topping. So normally, we will code the segment as food, pizza, beef pepperoni. And some would code just beef pepperoni, and some would code favorite food, which is pizza and beef pepperoni. So mind you that this is the natural language coding approach. So basically using up our day-to-day natural language of conversation. But whereas for the SCCT, we're going to have some bracketed context. For instance, here, the first bracket will be favorite, the second will be food, the third one will be pizza, and the fourth one will be pepperoni, and the other one will be beef. So if you can see visually, there's a slight difference of writing up the NLC and SCCT. Okay. Now, what if I add up another context? Like here, I love eating pizza and pasta, but mostly pizza. The ones with beef pepperoni as topping, the best with extra cheese. So we have another context there saying with extra cheese. So with NLC, of course, we're gonna put like favorite food, pizza, beef, pepperoni, and extra cheese. Whereas for SCCT, we'll add the extra and cheese bracket after the beef. So by doing so, it gives a deeper understanding of context through systematic arrangement of key explicit context, therefore creating sort of like a pattern. Now, if we look at the actual coding process, now as you can see here, yeah. So we have this, the first code, the open code will be favorite food, which is pizza, pepperoni, beef, and extra cheese. And we have another segment of quotation saying that favorite food, pizza, also pepperoni, but this time around it's chicken with extra cheese. And when we do a actual coding, so the category would be As you can see, we have here favorite food, still the same, pizza, and we maintain the pepperoni, but we drop the beef and chicken, and we maintain the extra cheese. Okay, so this is the common context of the two segments, which is food, pizza, pepper, and extra cheese. So the next example will be here. For instance, favorite food, pizza. For this time around, it's not pepperoni, but Hawaiian chicken. Hawaiian beef, regular cheese. So the next segment of quotation would be favorite food, pizza, Hawaiian chicken, regular cheese. So when we do the actual coding, the category would be like so. So favorite food, pizza, Hawaiian, regular, and cheese. Now, if we do another step of actual coding, which is the main theme, so out of these two, favorite food, pizza, pepper, extra cheese, favorite food, pizza, Hawaiian, regular cheese, it will come to favorite food, pizza. So the other example will be on spaghetti. Okay, I'll just give you some time to understand exactly how the SCCT works. Now, what if we change the context a bit? Now, how about this one? So let's see the first open quote, favorite food, pizza, beef, still the same, pepperoni, extra cheese. Okay, but this one, if you can see, I've shifted the pepperoni after the beef, context of pepperoni after the beef, and I have also shifted Hawaii after the beef. So if this happens, the theme will be like so. The sub theme will be favorite food, pizza, and this time around will be beef, extra cheese, not pepperoni, extra cheese. Okay, so this is the one of the powerful aspect of SCCT, where you can always play around with the context that you have developed. So like playing a Lego. So if it's not suitable in that in the design, it's not suitable to have a yellow Lego. So perhaps you can change it to a blue Lego, and the sequence also can be changed. So that's why SWCT has the power of flexibility in terms of arranging the context systematically, as compared to the natural language coding. So enough said, let's make some demonstration on the ATLAS.ti. So during the demonstration, I will demonstrate how to import and manage document, and create and manage codes, and doing the open and of course doing the open and Azure coding, and then create and manage network, and last but not least, we'll create the report. Now we need some context of study. So let's say that we conducting a study on to explore the understanding of vaccination amongst chief shamans in the rural areas of Sabah, which is in Borneo Island, Malaysia. So we have a research question, which is, what is the understanding of vaccination amongst chief shaman? Okay. Let me stop sharing this, and we'll just go straight to the SSCI. Okay, now this is my SSCI. When you open up, so we always start with creating a new project. For instance, here, so I'll just state this as understanding of vaccines. Okay, we just click create. Okay, to give you some time. All right, now. So this is basically the main interface after we created the project. So next, I will import the documents. All right. Just click to add documents, and I will add files. Just direct to the folder that has all the files. For instance, here, I will click on the transcript, and then see I will import all the data or the transcript. Now, when you click here under the Explore tab, you can see E1 up until D10. These are the transcripts that I've imported just now. You can also see all the documents under the Documents Manager. So let me just do that again. So you can just go to Home and then click here, Documents. So you can, there are two options here, Documents and Document Groups. So you click Documents, so it will list out all the documents that I've just imported. Okay, so 1 to 10. So we have 10 transcripts. Now, of course, in ATLAS.ti, you can always add comments for each and every document that you have. For instance, here, if I click here and then there's a comment here, click the comment button, a tab, whatever you call it, and you can just always add perhaps the date, the time of the interview, and so on and so forth. So let's see, I'll add here, it's November 50, 2023. Okay, so that will be the comment for this particular transcript. And you can always do that for the other transcripts. Sorry. Let's say this is 18. Okay. Now about that, so you can basically do for each and every document on the code. So it's not limited to write dates or whatever. So you can just add anything that you like. Perhaps describing the interview session, the duration of the interview session, and so on and so forth. Now let's get straight to the open code and actual coding process using the SCCT. Now I will double click the transcript and open up. Okay, now let's see here. So this is basically the interview transcript of the Chief Shaman number 1. So let's find. So we have our recent question would be, what is the understanding of vaccination amongst Chief Shaman in the world and Sabah? So let's see. So in ATLAS.ti, you can just simply highlight and go. So I'll show you how. Let's see here. So this is basically the segment that he defined vaccination. Okay, for instance here, vaccination is when a person receives a medicine that helps their body fight against disease. Now, just right click on the segment of the quotation, and then you just simply click apply codes. Now, this is where SCCT comes in handy. So we know that we want to find or we want to explore the understanding of vaccination among shamans in Borneo Island. So the first context will be their understanding. So I will just write UND, meaning for understanding, and then understanding of what? So understanding of vaccination. So what did this shaman understood about vaccination? So if you can see here, all right, so we do inductive coding. So basically it says that he he understands that vaccination is a medicine. So we just type in medicine. Okay, and of course medicine for what? To fight against to help our body fight against diseases. So I can add here medicine that help fight disease. There you go. So next, let's just stop there, just to make it quick due to the time constraint. So this is for the transcript number one. So let's go to the second transcript, and we'll have to find the segment that says about vaccination. Okay, now there it is. Now the second shaman said that vaccination, as I understand it, involves giving people a small piece of disease so their body can learn to fight it. This is quite unique. Now again, right click and apply codes. Now before we've created a code here, you see. So by just looking at the code, we understand that, oh, this is the understanding of vaccination. Okay, but this time around, it's not medicine, but a piece of disease. So he understands that vaccination is actually a piece of disease. And of course, the context of help finding disease remains the same. All right. Now let's look at the transcript number 3. Here it is. This is the segment that says on vaccination. So the third shaman said vaccination is a practice where people receive a small amount of disease to help their bodies learn how to fight it. Okay, this is quite unique as well. So we just apply the code, and then again,
Sorry, Ady, can I just one thing? It looks like people are unable to see the apply codes dialog. We can see the codes that are applied, but not the dialog. So it looks
How
like
should
you
I
are
do it?
sharing just the ATLAS.ti window. But if you can, if possible, can you switch to the
Yeah.
entire
Thank you so much. Yep.
screen?
I see. Let me change that.
No worries. No worries. Thank you.
Okay, so I need to share all my screen. Yes,
That's right. Or
entire
let's try.
screen. Is it entire
Yes.
screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Now, how about now? Can you see it? Is it
Yes,
okay now?
actually, yes. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Should we rewind or why? So what should we do?
If you have a few more examples of this, I think this will be, we can just keep on going.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I'm sorry for the technical issue just now.
Mm.
So let me just continue. So now we are on the transit 3. So we are trying to find the understanding of vaccination among the shaman. So this is shaman number 3. So he said that vaccination is a practice where people receive a small number of a disease to help their bodies learn how to fight it. So just right click and apply codes. So these are the codes that I've developed early on. The first would be the understanding of vaccine as a medicine to help and fight disease. The second one would be the understanding of vaccine as a piece of disease that help fight disease. Okay, but for this one, it basically says that a small amount of disease. Okay, so let's just put this. Okay, there you go. So we have 3 codes, each for each transcript. Now let's go to the transcript number 4. Let's see. Okay, this is the segment that says about vaccination. So the shaman said vaccination is a way to protect our bodies from dangerous disease. It's like giving our immune system a map to recognize and defeat. All right, this is interesting. So again, just right click on the segment and apply codes. Just pick any code, but this time around, just change the third context. So it says here it's like a map. It's like a map. There you go. Okay, let's go to the transcript number 5. So vaccination is like a shield made from the enemy's armor. Here we go. So I'll just take this element up here and apply codes. And again, we select any SCCT codes that we've developed, and of course we only change the third context of it. So this one would be the it's like a shield made from the enemy's armor. So this armor. Sorry, from enemy armor. Yeah. Just put an armor, right? And let's go straight to transit number 6. Here it is. Vaccination is like giving our warrior a secret weapon against invisible army. All right. The same process. Now, as you can see by now, SWCT really helps us in terms of speeding up our coding process. Now, we have the same context for all, but not the third context. That will be the understanding of the vaccine is basically a secret weapon. And then transit number 7. Vaccination is like training our body's protectors to recognize and defeat dangerous intruders. Okay. So again, the same process, apply code, and we have choices of SWCT here, and just click one, and I'm gonna change the third context. That would be the training build up. Oh no. Okay, wait, basically this is not towards the basic understanding of vaccine, was what is a vaccine, but it's more towards like the how vaccine helps our body, right? Okay, but we can always skip that because we only interest on the basically what exactly they understand about vaccination. Now the A transcript with vaccination is like teaching body to recognize and fight. Okay. Again, this is more or less the same as the transcript 7, but nevertheless, we just continue with number 9. The number 9 transcript says vaccination is like giving our bodies a secret code. This is interesting. So again, we just choose from any of the double SCT, and I will always change the third context of it, and this one should be secret code. Vaccine is a secret code. And then script number 10. Now vaccination is like providing with a map recognized to the bit. Okay. It says also about map. So I can always type map here and I get the SWCT for vaccination as a map. Now, once we're done with all the transcript, you can always close. That's about it. The open coding process using the SWCT. So if you would like to review our open codes, we can always click home and then go to the code tab. And there are 2 options here, codes and codes group. You just simply click codes. Okay, these are the codes that we've developed or created using the SWCT principle. Now, the next process will be the actual coding. So what we understand about actual coding is basically creating groups for the codes that we have developed, the open codes that we have. So for this instance, And now you can see here, all of this uh, talks about understanding of vaccination and what is it and what is that it does. So for the first one here is vaccination is a map that help fight a disease. And this one is the armor, medicine, piece of disease, secret code, secret weapon, and small amount of disease. Now, if I were to group these codes, it might be like so. It's a map, secret code, secret weapon. So these three, it seems that can be grouped into one category. So what kind of category? So I can always add here, right click. Once you've selected the codes, you can right click and then create new category code from selection. So this is actually coding. So you are now actually doing an actual coding. So I will name the group as still the same. I will retain the context of the SCCT vaccine, understanding of vaccine. Now we need to change the third context. So I would say that these three belongs to a group what we call mRNA vaccines. Right. And we retain the two contexts of uh, help fight the disease. There you go. Once we've done that, you're gonna have a group or a category called understanding of vaccine, which is mRNA that help and fight disease. So what about the other codes? So the other codes, I would say that this falls under vaccine services antigen type of vaccination. There you go. So we have two categories here. One is antigen and the other one is mRNA type of vaccination. So of course, for the grouping, we made it based on our knowledge or on based on our understanding, and this is what we call the deductive coding. Whereas for the open codes, basically we use the approach of inductive coding, which is from the ground, which is from the data itself. We're not limited to the literature or not limited to knowledge, the previous knowledge that we have. So we actually have done the open codes, open coding process. These are the open codes. And we also have done the actual coding. So basically we group all the open codes into categories. So you can always play around with the colors of the codes. Let's say I want to change the color to, for instance, orange. For the category, and always change the color of the open codes. That's perhaps blue. Okay, there you go. So once you've done the open and actual coding, so the next process, of course, how to visualize your data. So in ATLAS.ti, we can easily do that through networking. Okay, let me give you some example. For instance, here, so if I were to make a network for these categories, I can simply click all, and then you can double click, right click and click show in network. There you go. You can have a visualization of your SCCT. And you can always play around with it. If you want to import the quotation, you can add all the quotation. Just select, right click, and then add neighbors, and then click quotations. So you can always use these two tools here, layout and routing. Okay, so you can always choose any types of layout that you like. Okay, so I will normally use hierarchical and left, right, or right to left. From here, you can visualize your data very clearly. And with the SCCT as this technique of coding, you can always find the context of the code itself. Once you've done this, you create your network. You can always save it. Or let's here, you can just click save if you want to save the network. Okay. Just maintain the SCCT understanding of faxing. So I've saved the network. Okay. And up here, you can always play around, and you can also save as image if you want to save the image, and you can always save it on your desktop, perhaps, and then it will save the photo on the desktop. So at any point, if you want to bring up the network, you can always go to this home networks and click networks tab, and there you go. You have your network here, and you can just double click, and there it is. That's your network for your codes. Last but not least would be to export reports, yes, through the codes. Now I just click code manager, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select all the codes here, okay, and then make sure it's under codes manager, and then click export, and you have this export button, okay, and just simply get rid of the comments and click the quotation, and what it will do, just create the report. And this is in a form of write-up. As you can see here, this is the category on, okay, or the team, the main team, and these are the underlying teams. It will now it is organized based on the codes that you have in the code manager. And from here, you can start your write-up on the findings. And of course, you can always reword the SCCT. Okay, you can always read all the teams here, not a problem. As it only beneficial, as SCCT is only beneficial in terms of carrying out your open and actual coding in ATLAS.ti. The next step will be, of course, writing the findings of your study. And once you've done this, you can always save it. Okay, we save it in a form of document, Word document, and I will maintain the SCCT. There you go. And so you can always close it up, and we can always there you go. This is the photo, like so. So you can always add this in on your reports. And this is the report for the document. All right, I think that's about it, Royal. Feel free to, yeah, I think I covered up I think. Okay, back to you, Ron. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Ady, and thank you for the presentation and the demonstration in ATLAS.ti. I think my general comment is that this is a useful way of reorganizing meaning in qualitative data, so that you can the whole point of coding is to make the data easier to read and to how is it, interpret the data more efficiently. And so I think this is there's many approaches to coding. This is a very useful way of getting to the meaning. So thank you very much. If we can stop the share for a second, so that we can see each other. Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take questions. As we have said at the beginning, yes, this webinar is being recorded. It will be posted to the YouTube channel of ATLAS.ti, so please feel free to check the website, the YouTube channel periodically over the next few business days. So please feel free to ask any questions. I will be fielding them, and one thing I will say is if you have any questions that to ask the presenter directly regarding materials such as transcripts and data, I'm going to ask you to get in touch with us so that we can field messages to the presenter. The email address that I recommend to send requests to is training@atlas.ti.com, and we will take those emails and then communicate with the presenter after once you send your message. So request for PowerPoint presentation, training data, and other kind of materials from the presenter, please email us, and we'll see, and then we'll relay that to the presenter. We'll take some questions. Please feel free to use the Q&A function. Vishnu said, "Thank you very much for the presentation. There's a couple of questions here. So first, would you please suggest some reading materials to learn more about SCCT?"
Yeah, I will make it into a write-up and I'll send it to you, and perhaps you can forward it to our attendees later on. Not a problem. Yes, I will
I like that.
surely give that to you.
Absolutely. So yes, again, send that email to training@atlas.ti.com, and we will relay that to the presenter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and SCCT is commonly used in research based on which qualitative paradigm, and can we use it across qualitative paradigms?
Well, I normally use SWCT in what do you call it? Grounded theory. Yes, you can use that, and general qualitative inquiries, you can use that, and basically across paradigms. So I've some of my colleagues, some of my clients, they're using for grounded theories, for general qualitative inquiries, or even in fact phenomenology. And some of them used in the, I guess, another one, a descriptive paradigm, and so on and so forth. Yes, to answer the second question, you can basically use SWCT in any paradigm of qualitative research. Not a problem, as long as you understand the principle of the SWCT and how to perform it, and how to interpret the data later on. So it should be no problem.
All right. Well, thank you. We will be taking some more questions over the next few minutes. Maybe a question from me is, when, as you are applying codes to the data, you are separating words by brackets. So is there is that an intentional choice, or is that is there a meaning for that?
Yeah, I knew this question would come up.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a self-preference. So for me, it will be easier for me to see or to differentiate the context through bracket, but you can always use other terms, other symbols that you want to use. Perhaps you can use period, you can use any other form of the bracket is basically for me myself. I use it to train uh, my mind in a bracketing kind of way of understanding things. So by having the brackets, it will sort of like training my mind to be much more organized in terms of organizing the context. So that's where whenever I see a bracket, then I see, okay, this is now the context. So that's always been the practice of SWCT since the development of it. But of course, you can use any other ways of training your mind to see the context, not only the bracket ones. Yeah.
So just to, which I think is great, the idea of having a system that, as a mental aid, I think that's useful. What I think, but I think when I saw the brackets, the reason I ask is like in your first example in the PowerPoint, when you talk about person who likes pizza, pasta, and then they go on about extra cheese, and then you bracket off extra and you bracket off cheese. And maybe someone gets the idea that, oh, extra should be separate from cheese, but there's a there's a particular association with that because it has nothing to do with like extra pepperoni, for example. So the idea is not is the idea to what is it? Isolate words from each other, isolate
Yeah,
codes from.
the idea is to fine, to have as deep or meaningful context as possible and explicit as possible. So for instance, I said that extra one bracket and then extra cheese. So
Right.
maybe in the next transcript, you're going to find also extra, but not on cheese, maybe extra on vegetables, extra on, other things of
Yeah.
things on pizza. So it's not always extra cheese. So that's why I separated the extra and cheese, because the context of extra can be varied. So it's not always. But if you merge together extra cheese, then the context will always be extra cheese only. You see, when you separate it, so it will be much more deepened in terms of meaning and in terms of the context. So extra can be anything. Yes. So that's the idea behind it. Hopefully, it answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. So, no, I like that. And what I'm seeing is that when the things that you bracket off, they are usually one or two words. They seem to be very, if it's a phrase, it's a very short phrase. And I always get questions during webinars about coding, about oh, couldn't my code be 10 words long? It's instead of that, as in that
Well,
one
that's
piece
the
of coding.
natural language coding speaking. So
Right.
NLC. Yes, more than 10
Exactly.
words.
Yeah. So there's and I think that's going to, yeah, it seems to me that it's really more of a different style of organizing data, that might come down to preference. Would you say personal preference?
Exactly. As
Yeah.
long as you understand the data. But my approach, the SWCT, is basically on to exercise to get as much as possible the context,
Yeah.
as deep as possible,
Yes.
as in depth as possible.
Mm.
And then you can always play around with the context later on. You can always change, like the beef and pepperoni. So you can always change the location, whether it's pepperoni first or it is beef first. You can always change that, and it depends on the analysis itself. So along the way, you're gonna develop a different kind of understanding, right? Sometimes you have a different a kind of understanding, and then you have another data, and you're gonna have B kind of understanding. So using the SWCT, it helps you to retain the overall context of the data. Okay, but also in terms of playing around with the context itself, you can always play around as long as it does the context is not different so much from the beginning of the understanding.
Sounds good. Thank you. And last one is a small question from, not a small question, probably important one, from Kosik Malik. They are currently using the ATLAS.ti 9 version. Is it possible to perform SCCT in version 9?
Yes, when in fact, I first developed the SCCT back in 2015. Back then, I was using the ATLAS.ti 7. So now with the ATLAS.ti 9, 21, I think now we have 23. So it becomes much more easier in terms of doing the SWCT in ATLAS.ti.
Exactly.
So not a problem. You can always use 9 and 9. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Of course, we encourage all of our users to upgrade to the latest
But
version.
yes, of course. Yeah,
So,
get the latest version. We're not even talk about the AI yet, but then it's quite interesting. And I love
exactly.
it. Yeah. Mhm.
That will, we're hoping that will be another webinar for another day. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, want to respect everybody's time. It is the top of the hour, and Ady Hameme gave a great presentation. Really appreciate it. I want to thank him for presenting, and I want to thank all of you for taking the time out to take part in this IQRN webinar. We close out 2023 on a great note. We're looking forward to hosting future webinars through ATLAS.ti and the International Qualitative Research Network. Please feel free to search IQRN and ATLAS.ti for our respective websites for information about future webinars. And please feel free to email us at training@atlasti.com for any questions, requests, etc. But in the meantime, we hope we see you at another webinar sometime. My name is Roel Saibing for Ady Hameme Noor Azman. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.